my name is Susanna, and today I want to tell you about the time we got swatted by police, not once, but twice in the same week. By way of introduction, I should say that my husband is a pastor here in Tempe, Arizona. In the almost 17 years since we started our church, we have frequently been the target of just random online hatred and vitriol. And that kind of comes with the territory of preaching biblical truths in the 21st century, and we're used to that. Usually these attacks are anonymous, and usually they hurt others as much or even more than they hurt us. For example, people will sign us up for random subscriptions. Other times, people have pretended to be us and list expensive items free on OfferUp and other sites. Doesn't end up hurting us. It hurts the people that are showing up to my house. We've had pizza ordered to the church building. We have had white powder mailed to us. But basically, it's always random hate that, yes, is intended to hurt us, but it always ends up hurting other people in the process who have absolutely nothing to do with this. And that's kind of a hallmark of these anonymous attackers, is that they don't care who they hurt. So one of the ways that they tried to hurt us this most recent time, and this was a first in almost 17 years, was swatting. Now, I did not know what that term meant. I just learned this when this happened to us. And basically what swatting means is that you harm somebody or harass them by calling a SWAT team on them, hence the term swatting them. Now, this is illegal. I shouldn't even have to specify that. So basically what somebody does is they call 911 and they pretend that there's an emergency at the residence of the person that they're targeting. And then the SWAT team descends on that residence until it's cleared up that it is a misunderstanding or a prank call. But this is dangerous. There was at least one incident that I read about where the police did respond with a SWAT team to a residence, but they accidentally knocked on the next door neighbor's house. And this next door neighbor came out and ended up getting shot and killed in the confrontation between the neighbor and the police, when there was no reason for them to go to his residence except a misunderstanding and a false 911 call. Let's get into what happened at our house, and I will also share the 911 recordings that I have. There are body camera footage videos, but I have not yet been able to obtain those. The Phoenix police is about a year behind on processing those, so when I do get them, I will probably share them here on my YouTube channel. Now, before I get into it, I would like to say that I'm not at all faulting the Phoenix police for how they responded. They responded in the appropriate way for the threat that was being communicated to them. Incidents of swatting are extremely rare, but on a weekly basis, they do receive legitimate calls of this nature, and they really deal with these kinds of crimes and incidents. So their response was based on assuming that the call was legitimate. So I want to make clear by way of introduction that I'm thankful to the officers for being willing to walk into a volatile situation, or what they thought would be a very dangerous volatile situation, in order to help the victims. Back in April of this year, April 4, 2023, which was a Monday, I was 8 months pregnant. It was in the late afternoon, early evening, around 4:30 p.m. The kids had just gotten up from their nap times, and they were playing in the backyard, which you see behind me here. And I, being 8 months pregnant, didn't want to be out in the heat, so I was sitting at the table here, working on my computer and keeping an eye on them. And you can see here that our backyard is fully enclosed by these 7-foot walls that go around the property that you can't just get over. So they're safely playing here. I was sitting here working, and a helicopter started circling overhead. And the kids were coming in and like, "Mom, look, there's a police helicopter." And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." But I wasn't gonna go out there and, be a gawker. And they kept coming in saying, "Mom, this helicopter is really close." And I'm like, that does sound really close. So finally I decided my son John, who's 17 and is kind of into all the whole first responder stuff, I thought he might enjoy seeing this helicopter footage up close because it was so close. So I grabbed my phone and I went to the backyard, and the helicopter was over our yard, like literally just doing circles over our yard. And really close, and I started recording, and I was like, why are they so close? That's so weird. I wonder who they are looking for. And right as I said that, up over the back wall, right where you see the pink bougainvillea there, that is my neighbor's yard on the other side. That's their plan. And up over that wall pops a head of a uniformed officer. And he says, "Ma'am, I need you to go to the front yard." And I said, "No, you don't understand. You have the wrong address. We didn't call you." And he said, "No, you don't understand. We're here for you. You need to go out front right now." And I was like, "Why? We didn't call you." And he said, "Somebody from this residence called and you need to step outside right now." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I went to the front door. And as I walked around my house to the front door, I saw that my front door was already open. And as I approached my front door, I see my 13-year-old daughter, Rebecca, walking across the front lawn with both her hands up in the air, walking toward the curb, and up and down the entire street, like 20 arrows pointed at our front door were squad cars. About 20 of them, and they were all pointing at our house. Several of them had their door open with officers behind the open door with rifles pointed at our front door, pointed at our windows, pointed at Rebecca as Rebecca is crossing the front lawn with her hands up in the air. And I'm like, "Rebecca, what are you doing?" And she said, "I opened the door to see what was going on, and they said, 'Come out with your hands up.' I told them I'm only 13, but they said they'd shoot me. They didn't care how old I was. They said to come out with my hands up." So I said, "Well, you go back in," and I went out. And they, at this point, had put their rifles down. I guess they realized that we were all okay. They'd seen the kids playing in the backyard on the helicopter. I was later able to obtain the incident reports from the police, where I could see them communicating with each other and what they were speaking about with each other internally. And at that point, they had communicated to the people in the front yard, "This might be a prank call. Everybody here seems to be fine." So by the time I got out front, they had put their rifles down. They just patted me down and they said, "We got a call from somebody pretending to be at this residence, and they claimed to be Stephen Anderson. Do you know Stephen Anderson?" And I said, "Yes, I know him. He's my husband." And they said, "Well, they claimed to be Stephen Anderson, and they said that they had just killed their wife in the name of God." And I'm going to play that recording here in a minute. "And that they were about to kill themselves. So that's why we came out here to save lives or secure the area or whatever." Now, the police response was extreme, as I said, and I can only imagine the cost associated with that. I asked one of the officers, "How much is it even just to run this helicopter?" And I don't remember now, but I think they said something in the neighborhood of $42,000 for a half hour or an hour or something in that neighborhood. And I know that the previous incident of a swatting call here in the Phoenix Valley, in a news article, they said that it cost around $90,000 total in public resources from all the officers responding and the helicopters and everything. So this is not a small matter. This is a serious crime. It's a serious waste of resources. And like I said, it's extremely dangerous. At this point, it had not really sunk in the reality of how dangerous this was. So the police officers asked, "Where is your husband?" I said, "He's downstairs in his office. He is on a live radio call where he's a guest." So I said, "He's downstairs in his office working on that." And they said, "Is it okay if we check the house?" I said, "Go ahead. I just ask that you please leave your rifles in your squad cars," because I didn't want to perturb my children more. The little kids had stayed in the backyard when I went out front, so they had not seen the commotion with the rifles and Rebecca and all that. So they obliged that, and they said, yes, of course. They came in, said hi to the kids, and they said, "Is it okay if we check the house?" And they did. And I hadn't even thought about warning my husband, and they went to his door. And they knocked. And my husband didn't answer because he thought it was just one of the kids. They frequently knock on his door while he's working and he can't always respond. So he just ignored it. So they knocked again. And he was like thinking to himself, "I'm in a live radio call. Why do they keep calling? Why do they keep knocking?" And finally the police knocked and said, "Stephen, open the door. This is Phoenix police." So at this point, my husband thought the kids were pranking him. He thought maybe John was pulling a prank on him because this is kind of a John thing to do. So he opened the door somewhat irritated, like, "What?" And the police was there. And he's like, "Why are you in my house?" And they said, well, your wife told us we can come down here. And he said, okay, well, if she said that, it must be okay. What do you want? And they said, we're just making sure that you're alive and well because we got this 911 call. He said, yes, everything's fine. So they didn't even bother checking upstairs. They apologized. They were very nice, really friendly officers. And they said, we're going to write down your address and we're going to take your direct cell phone number. So if this ever happens again in the future, we're going to call you before we come out. And I said, sounds good. Thank you. And they left. Well, later that day, I had called in to the substation that we have here in Phoenix for our little area. And I had asked to get a call back from the sergeant. Had not heard back all week. So on Saturday afternoon, I was downstairs in my craft room sewing, and I get a phone call, and it said no number. And I thought this was a sergeant calling back to answer my questions. And I answered, and I said, hi, this is Susanna. And they said, hey, we're out front. And I said, oh, the sergeant just came by to talk to me? That wasn't necessary. I just had a few questions. And they're like, oh, no, we got another call. And I said, you got another call? About what this time? And they said, oh, just the usual. Could you please come upstairs and just, so we can verify that you're fine. Just come out with your hands up and don't hold anything in your hands. And I said, okay, I'll be right up. Went upstairs, went out my front door. And again, they made sure that everybody at the house was alive. They apologized, and I said, hey guys, I thought you were going to call before you came out if this happened again. And they said, we did. We tried to call you. There was no answer. And then I checked my call log, and indeed, they had 5 minutes earlier tried to call me. I missed that call. Probably my sewing machine was loud, or I always have my phone on silent. I'm going to go into the 911 call now. It was placed anonymously over the internet, so it can't be traced back. And not only was it placed anonymously over the internet, but it was done through like some kind of a text-to-speech server. So I'm going to play it in its entirety, but I will be cutting out the long pauses between the operator and this electronic voice reading off the message of the troll who called it in. So I'm going to play those for you right now.
Phoenix Police, this is Michelle. How may I help you?
Hello, I'm disabled. I cannot talk. I have to use text-to-speech.
Okay, how can I help you?
I just shot my wife. She is not breathing.
What is your address?
My address is
House or apartment?
house.
I'm sorry?
House.
Your phone number? And when did this happen?
30 minutes ago.
I'm going to put the fire department on the line. Where's the weapon?
No, don't put the fire department.
Where is the weapon?
The weapon is in my hand.
Can you put it down?
I have a Glock and 2 semi-auto rifles. I shot my wife in the name of God. She cheated on me. Can you repeat my address back to me?
Hold on just a second. Okay, the fire department's on the line with us. What is your name?
My name is...
And where in the house is your wife?
She's in the bathroom.
Are you the only one home?
Yes.
And where did you shoot your wife on her body?
I just want them to take my wife's body. That's why I called. I will kill myself soon.
And caller, this is the fire department. Is your wife awake and breathing?
No.
How old is she?
It doesn't matter. She died already.
PD, we'll see you out there. What channel are you guys working this on?
CDEC 4. What is your wife's name?
I will kill myself soon. I have 3 guns. If you try to stop me from killing myself, I will resist. My address is... Goodbye.
Don't hang up. What is your wife's name?
And then as far as the second call on Saturday, after the first time that it happened, for the second call, they did not call 911. They called a crisis hotline. The crisis hotline then called 911 and said, I'm not sure if this is a legit call. It might be a prank. It sounded weird, but in any case, we wanted to pass it on. So that was the second time they called.
Phoenix Police, this is... How may I help you?
My name... I'm calling... we received a phone call from a veteran in Phoenix, and we're honestly not certain if this is a prank call or not, They disclosed to us that they had just killed their wife, and they planned to kill themselves, their 5-year-old son, and their autistic brother. We were able to get an address for them, and we have a phone number. They did not give us a name.
Okay. What's the address?
I don't know if this is maybe somebody you're familiar with. The address they gave us is.
Okay. Did they say?
It just didn't specify avenue or street.
Okay. What's the phone number you have for them?
Let me double check with the call taker.
Okay.
Okay. The call taker thinks it's.
Okay. What's the phone number you have?
The phone number for the caller is. The call taker says it sounds like there's 2 people in the home, but they're not sure because they're not talking at the same time. And that somebody mentioned when they told us the address said that there's a pipe bomb in the house.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Because it looks like we were out there last couple days ago for almost the same situation. And apparently the residents is saying that they are being harassed via using the police coming out there. Okay. Yeah, but it's a totally different number than what you gave me, the previous one that we had. Okay. Well, we'll still do a check welfare for sure.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's the same. This one though came. It was a different number, and it came via our text 911. So we actually didn't verbally have contact with whoever was calling a couple of days ago. They just were sending us messages, almost the same exact thing that you just told me. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we'll still do a check welfare, see what's going on. What's a good callback number for you?
Sure. Let me pull up our callback number. Our callback number is.
All right. We'll get somebody out there and make sure everything is okay. Yeah, my name is.
Okay. And is there an incident report number?
Yeah, 1 second. The incident that we're responding to today is, any chance with your call taker, did they give names or anything?
No names.
Okay. But it was a male voice that they were talking to?
I believe so, but let me just double check.
Okay.
There's a suggestion it's a prank, but
right.
Due to the content,
no,
we got to call it in.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And like I said, we did the same thing a couple of days ago, responded out to it, same situation, almost verbatim what you just told me.
Okay, yeah, they're both male voices, although we don't, there's a suspicion that it's probably just one person doing two voices because they're never speaking at the same time, but we can't verify that. Yeah, it's very strange. We got a supervisor on the line with the call taker right now trying to get a safety plan in. All right. Is there anything else that I can provide?
No. We've got officers on the way. We'll see what's going on.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Bye.
So there you have it. Now this could have ended very differently. And the fact that it didn't, I give God complete credit for that. As a matter of fact, about an hour before this happened, it was nap time at my house. And since my husband was home and since I have teenagers that can watch their younger siblings, that afternoon I was on my way home from the chiropractor and I called home and I said, "Are the kids asleep?" And my daughter said, "Yes, everybody's asleep. If you need to stop somewhere else along the way, feel free to do so." And I had just pulled off the exit to go to Costco on the way home when I got the call that, no, the kids just woke up. And I kind of debated, should I go home? My daughter was fine. She's like, "Go ahead and do what you need to do. I can watch the kids, it's no problem." But I was just like, no, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable today. For some reason that day, I was on the off-ramp to go to Costco. And when I got that call, I was like, no, not today. Today I'm just going to pull back on and order it through Instacart. So I got home and it had only been about 15 minutes of them playing in the backyard and me sitting here when this all happened. Had I not come home, I would have been at Costco when this happened, and I don't know how it would have played out. My kids might have looked out the front window, and that's one of the things that the police said not to do. They said, if this ever happens, stay away from the windows, stay away from the doors, pick up your phone, call 911 and tell them what's going on. But do not go near the windows, do not go near the door, because the officers on the other side can't see who you are or what you're holding in your hands, so stay away from the windows. Had I not been here, I mean, surely my kids get excited like all kids if there's a fire truck or an ambulance or squad cars with lights and sirens on the street, and they might have looked out and been like, what's going on? Could have ended very, very differently. So I'm thankful that I was home, that everything went as well as it did, and that it didn't end in some kind of catastrophe or tragedy. So there you have it, another day in the life of a pastor's wife. Weird things do happen on an almost weekly basis, and we virtually never talk about it. We have no way of bringing these people to justice because it was anonymous. It can't be traced back. For what it's worth, I wanted to share about that. And now you know why I need a sabbatical next summer, to get a break, step away from it all for a few weeks, and just enjoy time with my kids. I just want to say, if you have a church that you love, and you know your pastor loves you and cares about you, and that preaches the truth, find a way to be a blessing to your pastor and his family. I guarantee you that they are going through countless things that you will never know or hear about. I'm not just talking about us, I'm talking about everybody who's in the ministry. If they are preaching the truth, I guarantee you that their family, that they personally are under attack in ways that you will never hear about. Just like I am just now mentioning this event that happened in April, but if I had never mentioned it, you would have never known about. There are countless other things that happen on an almost weekly basis that we don't talk about, and that happen in the lives of other pastors and their families that they never talk about. Whether that's because it's an intrusion of their privacy, or it would be an intrusion of the privacy of those people that they're helping, or for countless other reasons. Just take it to the bank. If you have a pastor who loves the Lord and preaches the truth, they are on the front lines, they are under attack. And if they're not teaching the truth, why are you going to church there? Find a church that does, and then support that pastor and his family. If you like the content on this channel, if you would like to support this channel, there's a link in the comments where you can do that. You can also join as a member of this channel. Any revenues I make on this channel are going towards our upcoming trip to Germany for next summer. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.